This is a story about a blue push pop and the moment I lost my religion. My family came to this country in September 1991. I was 5 years old. My mom was 8 months pregnant. My dad didn't speak any English. And my dad's parents stayed back in the Soviet Union. My mom's parents were both sick. The New York Association for New Americans put us up at the Latham Hotel, which is a homeless shelter on 28th Street. It was loud and it was dirty and there were bugs and rats, but I was 5 years old and it didn't really bother me. But I can only imagine what it was like for my parents who came to America and were now living in this place. We stayed there about maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then we moved to an apartment in Brooklyn. But money was always a problem and a source of conflict. We never bought anything unless it was on sale. I grew up on Kaboom cereal, which tasted like sugary cardboard. And I was taught to never spend money on anything unless I absolutely had to. Back in St. Petersburg, I went to kindergarten, but when we got to New York, we didn't really know, how to get me into school or what to do. Around November, my mom took me to PS 230, which was across the street, and we talked to the principal, and she promised to get back to us in a day or two. And so a week went by, and a couple weeks went by, and a month went by, and we never heard anything. For about 6 months, I was at home with my grandma, watching TV on this old Zenith that a neighbor had thrown out. It was brown and it had, knobs for VHF and UHF, and I think it only got to CBS and the WB11. But it was my window to the world, and it was my English teacher. And it was also where I saw commercials for, toys like Crossfire, where you shot balls back and forth across the table with these pinball paddles. And Super Soaker with, 2 barrels, and candy, like Gushers and Fruit by the Foot, and Push Pops. So by April, my mom and dad had found out about a Hebrew school that was started by a Russian rabbi all the way in South Brooklyn near Coney Island. And so we went down there, but he was reluctant to let me join the school with only 2 months left in the school year. So we made a deal. He agreed that if I came back in 2 weeks and I knew my multiplication table up to 12, I could join the first grade. And so for the next 2 weeks, every morning, my dad would drill the multiplication table with me, and every night I would study it on my own. And so by the end of the 2 weeks, we came back, and I knew it cold. 7 times 9, 63, 9 times 5, 45. It was easy. And so I was allowed to join the first grade. And I picked up the math stuff pretty easily, but where I really excelled was the Hebrew and religion class. We learned about, the history of the Jews, and we learned about all the different prayers that you were supposed to say, and all the rules. And I liked it. I liked the history of it, and I enjoyed it. My favorite thing, though, was these prayer bees, which is like a spelling bee, but for prayers. So you have to say a particular type of prayer when you eat bread, and a different type of prayer when you eat dairy. But what about a grilled cheese sandwich? It got complicated. But I was good. I won the prayer bee for the class, and I came in second in the whole school, beating all the older kids except for one guy. And it was fun. That was religion to me, and I enjoyed it. It was an all-boys school, and so I was in love with Miss Nussbaum. She was about 25, I don't know, probably about 25. She was tall, she had long black hair and pouty lips. And she was my first love. Every morning at 7, my dad would get me up. I had to be dressed by 7:10, teeth brushed, showered, dressed, ready to go, and we had to leave for the 7:35 bus. But one day, in the 3rd grade, I believe, my mom walked me to the bus stop. And we stopped for something at the bodega, something that she needed. But as soon as I walked in, the first thing I saw at my 8-year-old eye level was candy that I'd seen on TV. There was the Gushers, and the Fruit by the Foot, and the Push Pops. And they had all the different colors. They had green apple, 3 different kinds of red, or 2 different kinds of red, strawberry and cherry, and blue, which is the one I really wanted. So I grabbed the blue one, and I asked my mom if I could have it, and it was a bodega, so it was overpriced, and I didn't expect that she would say yes. But we were in a rush, and she was, tired of me, so, she actually bought it for me, and I felt like the luckiest kid in the world, and I couldn't contain my excitement. We walked the next, 2 or 3 blocks to the bus stop, and she had to keep reminding me to keep moving because I kept trying to stop and open, the push pop. We got to the bus stop, and I finally got it open, and I pushed it up with my little index finger, and I was sucking on my blue push pop. It was, it was sweet and intensely blue, and it was from TV, and it was mine. And I was, I couldn't even believe that I had it. And then the whole way on the bus, all the way from Avenue C down to Avenue U, I was, looking out the window, sucking on my push pop, and life was good. And then we got to the school, and I took my big backpack into class, put my things in my cubby, and I sat down at my desk. And then Miss Nussbaum walked in, and she sat down. She put down her things. She looked around the room, and her eyes paused on me, and she said, "Is that kosher?" And that had never, these two things, the world of, the rules that I was being taught in Hebrew and religion class, and the stuff I wanted from TV, had never collided before. And so she made me check the label, and of course it wasn't kosher. And so Miss Nussbaum, my first love, made me go to the front of the room and throw my push pop in the trash. It was still half eaten. And I sat back down in my chair, and the rest of the 2-period Hebrew and religion class, I was zoned out. I wasn't paying attention to Miss Nussbaum. I wasn't listening. I was questioning. Why is this candy kosher and this candy not kosher? Why do you have to say this prayer or that prayer? Is anyone even listening? And so my religion and my dreams of becoming a rabbi and my prayer be domination went into the trash along with my blue push pop.